Tennessee wins ugly in Neyland, and the Vols move on to 5-1.
See you later, alligator. You're going back to Gainesville with another hype L.
This is the PCS Volcast, hosted by Shea and Jace.
Yep.
We cover the SEC and everything Vols. Please subscribe and like this video if you enjoy our content. Today we'll be going over our thoughts, the key stats, and the MVPs from last night's game. All right, let's start off with Tennessee's first half offense and defense.
Offense will be quick. It's another shutout in the first half. I feel like we're like in this bizarre world where our offense just doesn't exist anymore. Like that when Heupel came to town, I thought that's what was going to be good, and this year it's just nothing. Fumble, punt, interception. That was the result of our 5 drives in the first half. And, it started to look okay at the beginning of the game when we got the ball. But after that fumble that Nico committed, which was, the defense had nothing to do with, he just fumbled, he just lost all of his confidence and really did nothing for the rest of the game.
Yeah, after that fumble, he kind of fell off the map. He basically looked pretty hot on the first drive, and then after that, like you said, we got a punt, interception, and that interception was ugly.
It was a terrible read. Lagway threw an interception later in the game, and somehow Nico's was worse. I mean, it was in double coverage, right to the Florida defender. Yeah, what happened? I mean, what happened to all Nico's hype? I don't know.
And I don't think Heupel was helping very much. He's driving me insane. 3rd and 15, guess what we do? We run it. Of course we do. 3rd and 15 early in the game. What is going to hurt if you throw it downfield?
I'm getting to the point where as each game goes by, I understand the play calling more and more. We have a Nico Iamaleava problem. And trust me, I have full faith in him that he can improve each game, and especially each season that he's here. But, I mean, if it's 3rd and 15 and he throws a ball like that to end the first half, I have no faith in him to complete a pass, to do anything positive for us, really. So
yeah, it feels like Heupel is losing trust in Nico each week.
Did he ever have it? Ever since the bye week, we've seen the play calling, and I don't think that's any mistake. I think he's calling the plays because he doesn't have a quarterback that can be successful in the plays he wants to call.
And so what Heupel wants to do is run with Sampson 100 billion times, but when he does, first of all, it's predictable.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, they don't do anything creative with the run. It's up the middle. It's like watching a Titans game. And the Florida D-line was wrapping Sampson up, getting there before on the first step of the O-line. They were not able to push them back. And Sampson did his absolute best. I mean, he was out there. His legs never stopped. His feet were always going, but the O-line was not helping him out at all. And they also, they weren't helping out Nico either.
Mm-mm.
But he wasn't helping himself out. If you look at his feet on those 3 sacks near the end of the first half, I know he had pressure in his face, but really look at it, and you can tell. A good quarterback would have given himself time, would have created time in the pocket and space, and wouldn't have gotten sacked. I'm not going to say all 3 of them were his fault. I'm just going to say he didn't. You would have liked to seen him make a play out of that.
It was back-to-back sacks, right? I'm pretty sure they had 3 sacks in the whole game, and they were all on the same drive, back-to-back. That's just unacceptable. I mean, if we didn't have Sampson, we'd probably be 3-3, right?
Yeah.
Our offensive line, run blocking, I think is fine. But our offensive line, pass blocking wise, is way worse than I thought. They're not horrible, but they're not as good as I thought, even close to as good as I thought coming into the season. I mean, we got Hurd to come in. Campbell, we had high hopes for him. I mean, Cooper Mays, he's supposed to be one of the best centers in the country. And as you said, they're not helping Nico out, but there's not much they can do to help if he's going to play in a funk. I feel like he's just kind of in a funk right now. I will say I can see – I've been kind of pessimistic, especially with this game. I can see a complete breakout game for Nico just out of the blue. But, I mean, there's nothing to tell Tennessee fans that's going to happen. But let's go a little more positive. Let's talk about the defense.
Okay.
I'm pretty impressed with our defense this game. They didn't play perfect, but they again, this has been kind of been a theme ever since SEC play started. They have been there and they've been good when you really need them to.
Without Sampson and without our defense, we are nothing.
No.
I mean,
we're not. Well, I don't think we're a bowl team without our defense and Sampson.
And they played really good. Mertz had a good game. Lagway was iffy. I mean, basically he was a quicker Nico, but yeah, Mertz was hitting his checkdowns. They were getting yards. I wouldn't say that the defense was perfect when it came to tackling, and you definitely want to see some improvement there, but most of the time, they got stops when it mattered.
Yeah, they did.
I do say most of the time, but that's mostly in the second half, and we're on the first half right now. The problem is when they got the – okay, I know we're staying positive. We're trying to be positive, but when they did get stops, our offense did nothing.
Yeah, I know. I mean, our defense can only do so much when we just punt the ball to them every play. So, like, if our offense is going to suck, then, you know, the way our defense played, I'll take that. Because, like, you can only get so many stops. The way, like, this is in any sport, I think, the way that offense and defense are, like, designed, offense is just, like, favored. They control the ball. They kind of call the plays. They make the defense react. It's like if you're trying to tackle someone juking, you don't know what they're going to do.
Right.
They make the move, and you have to react. So, but, yeah, I mean, 2 fourth-down stops in this game. I think in the first half, actually.
Yeah.
One of those was on our 18, so this game went into overtime. We all know that. So if they kick a field goal there, I don't have any faith in our offense to have a 2-minute drill at the end of the game, which that happened, and we just flopped completely. But I don't have any faith in Tennessee's offense to respond to that. So we stopped them on the 18 on downs. That's a field goal they could have had. We stopped them, I believe, around our 38 on downs. That's close to a field goal or something. I mean, they were on the 1-yard line, and Pierce, who finally, like, the stats won't tell you, but this was my favorite James Pierce game of the season. But Pierce punched the ball and then recovered it.
Yeah.
Like, that was so cool to see.
He put the team on his back right there. That was a nice thing to see from Pierce, for him to really just cause havoc and create a play for us.
The stats might look better against Arkansas, but this, if you watch the game, like, he was flying around the field. This finally looked like that number 1 overall hype kind of game that we were all anticipating.
Yeah.
Half a sack and 1 TFL, which, okay. He tied for a lead in tackles this game, and then obviously, as I said, that forced fumble and recovered fumble. But like that forced and recovered fumble is more than any other stat he could have because of the situation.
Yeah. Now, this was still an ugly game for a reason. It always felt like Florida was in it because they were.
Yeah.
So on the play action passes that Florida kept doing, our linebackers were biting. In that first half, they were biting hard. And Florida got a few easy first downs from that. You want to see our linebackers and safeties be a little bit more disciplined, but I think our corners played really well.
Yeah, I agree.
Besides maybe missing some tackles on the screens, they played pretty good. Let me talk about the offense again real quick. So going back to Pierce's forced fumble on the goal line, that was amazing, totally awesome, but my face was straight. I was happy about what our defense did. No part of me believed that we were going to get the ball on the 1 and drive down the field for any points.
Unless we had just a complete Florida screw-up and we hand it off to Dylan Sampson, he runs for 99 yards. I agree. I mean, I hate to just dookie all over Nico because I still love Nico. Like, I'm still happy he's our quarterback, and I think, I mean, if you're like wanting Nico to be benched, I understand because he's been playing like he should get benched. But in a year or 2 from now, I just think we're gonna be like, hey, it was his freshman year, first year of starting, and look where we are now. I think that's, I don't know.
Yeah, but on that drive after the fumble recovery, he throws a terrible pick that we talked about earlier. Yeah, that pick was awful. I think he was just nervous. Saw a guy open for half a second, thought he could fit it into a window. Either that or he just didn't see him there. But, I mean, he threw it right to him. And thankfully, Florida's so incompetent that they didn't do anything with that, but they should have. The final drive of the first half was very just ugly. Let's see. Personal foul on the first play on our defense. And then Florida gets a false start. Mertz misses. Timeout Florida. Timeout Tennessee. Like, it was just two bad coaching jobs going head-to-head right there at the end of the first half.
Yeah, I anticipate that's going to be how every game left in our schedule is, maybe except UTEP. But yeah, it's going to just anticipate sloppy games, Tennessee fans. That's just how it's going to be the rest of the season. To close out the first half, it ended in the same score that the Arkansas game did, 3-0. I was actually hopeful. The difference was I was actually hopeful in the Arkansas game, even though we had less possessions and time of possession in the Arkansas game. I just thought we could come back and bounce back in the second half, which we did. But in this Florida game, I had no hope. I mean, we literally did nothing on offense except for that first drive that ended at a fumble. Yeah, I mean, I was just hopeless, to be honest.
Yeah, and the last thing I want to say about the first half was penalties. 2 holding calls. Is it Heupel? Is it the players themselves?
I think it's the players. As I said, our offensive line isn't as good as we thought, and I think they just have to hold to attempt to block.
It's just sad when we need every single positive play we can get, and most of them are Nico scrambles, and that's when the holdings were popping up.
Mm-hmm.
Nico's rolling out. Ooh, Hurd is losing. He's grabbing the guy's shirt. Like, come on, bro.
All right, to start the second half, Lagway comes out. You know, they do that every third drive, a quarterback switch. He doesn't really do anything. They punt. We get the ball again. Same stuff as the first half. We punt. And then Florida storms down with Mertz back in and scores a touchdown. At this point, I, again, have no hope. And looking back at the game, there are like 3 things, I think, that are clear and obvious reasons why Florida should have won.
Yeah.
Number 1 is Mertz. Mertz looked pretty good this game. I mean, he was 11 for 15, 125. There was only like 1 or 2 throws that he just missed. But he showed that his accuracy in this game, about 67 QBR and a touchdown. I think Lagway played well at the end of the game, but if Mertz had played the entire game and not gotten injured, we probably would have lost by like 14 points because he looked good. He looked good in this game.
That's bold. That's a little bold.
I mean, look at the stats. He was good. Lagway had that idiotic interception that he kind of balanced out to send it into overtime, but that was bad. But anyways, we finally score a touchdown. First touchdown in 6 quarters of play?
Yep.
And we're talking about the Arkansas defense and the Florida defense, who statistically they're just not very good. They're just not that good. I mean, they're not horrible, but
no, it makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
And ESPN actually had Florida's chances of winning at 70% after once it was 10-0, and I kind of saw it as 100% to nothing. I was like, hey, at least our video is going to get views, but it was over at that point for me.
By the way, I don't think we were aware, but on that Mertz touchdown, he actually got injured. I didn't think it was like a bad injury at the time, but apparently it was. On the next drive after our touchdown, which, by the way, a lot of Dylan Sampson, because what else can we do?
Yeah.
But after that touchdown, Lagway came back out, when it wasn't really his time. It was like the second drive of the order, and Lagway came out, and then we see Mertz in street clothes on crutches.
Yeah.
That's a really bad sign for Florida. Florida has a few tough tests coming up, and if they have to play Lagway, he's good, and he had some really good moments in this game, but he also had that idiotic interception and a few other misses. But if Mertz is out for them for the season, that they just lose any type of stability they had.
But Florida fans want to see Lagway, so they might get what they want.
It's a win-loss, I guess, for them. Obviously, a quarterback. I respect Graham Mertz. A quarterback like him going down is not good for any team.
No.
But if you want to look on the bright side, if you're a Florida fan, it does give Lagway more time, maybe to iron out some of these bad reads. So yeah, we score, and then first play just threw it right back to us.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm like, okay, the DJ Lagway effect finally, kicks in.
Catches some breaks.
Yeah, we got that pick on the 20, where we started our drive on the Florida 20, and we settled for a field goal.
Only because of where the defense set us up
right.
at. It was a 3 and out, but we were close enough because of the interception spot.
We see Bishop come in, which in the last video I was talking about we should see all of our running backs get in. Just play Sampson. I mean, he's the only guy that can do anything for us, really.
Well, every time Bishop comes in, it feels like he gets 6 yards. On his first carry, he's always going to get 6 yards. On that second carry, he's going to get 4, and then on his third, he's going to get 2. And then Sampson comes back in.
Bishop got stopped here. His first carry, he had 2, and then Nico scrambled for a yard. And then Nico, I honestly have been wanting to see more of the Nico to Chris Brazzell connection. In practice, he just mosses everybody. I mean, we've all seen the videos, I'd assume. He's a beast in practice, and then I think there's just a bad Nico throw. So we settled for the field goal, and then a whole lot of nothing pretty much until the fourth quarter. We don't really see Florida do anything until that very last drive.
So in the fourth quarter, we stop Wilson again on a 4th down. I mean, the defense continues to come in super clutch. And how do we respond? Well, it's 3rd and 8. Nico rushes for 5, and we punt. Are we surprised?
No.
Not even a little.
I'm actually a little surprised we didn't turn it over, but fair enough.
Lagway comes in. He's just not doing the job.
Mm-mm.
It was like he has more confidence when he knows he's not starting, but I think he gets a little flustered when he's the guy.
You could tell. I mean, that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could. That first throw was just. I mean, he just gave us the ball.
As a redshirt freshman, I think him being in Neyland, that's when Neyland helped us out a lot there. I don't think he makes those mistakes in Gainesville. So Lagway's not doing the job. He punts. Sampson responds. I want to say Sampson, not the offense. I'm sorry.
No, they're 2 completely different things. Sampson is the offense.
Yeah,
really.
I am an offense. I'm a Tennessee Volunteers offense hater today, okay? And a Sampson lover.
Yeah.
Sampson responds with a 23-yard touchdown on the second play of the drive after a punt from Lagway. Lagway gets the ball back, and he punts it back.
Punt.
Yeah, like you said, I think if Mertz was in, you know what? You're right. If Mertz was in, there wouldn't be that many punts in the second half.
I mean, if Lagway just threw like a 70-yard touchdown, then we'd be well. First of all, we would have lost the game.
Yeah.
And second of all, we would be like agreeing that Lagway's the guy, whatever. But just no stability with him as the quarterback. And credit to our defense. Like our defense did step it up when our offense was finally able to put some points on the board. Our defense held steady.
So we have four punts back to back. It's a punt fest. On the last punt to Florida, they return it, get a huge gain. Lagway comes out there. They do whatever for the first play or two, and then he throws a dart to the end zone.
That was the best play in this game by far.
Yeah, that was a very beautiful pass.
And he's a freshman. You were talking about in Neyland. He just steps up in the pocket, beautiful throw, and they tied up.
Yeah.
So when all the punts were happening, that's kind of the first time in the game that I felt like we were going to win. I mean, it's just like the Tennessee signature to choke against Florida. And when we finally, were retaining our lead for like a quarter, I was like, all right, maybe we can win. And then, as you mentioned, that punt return, I was like, here we go.
And then
just classic Tennessee, and then, of course, the touchdown.
So the touchdown, and then this part is so embarrassing to me. They act like they're going to go for the 2-point, and Napier knows exactly what he's doing, which you don't hear often.
Yep.
He gets his guys out there for the 2-point, suddenly rushes all the offensive linemen to the one side. Kind of looks like that one Colts play from a few years ago.
Yeah.
And Heupel's like, what the heck is happening? Calls timeout. Like,
dude, that was like,
come on.
That, I mean, I hate to have battered Bell syndrome, but like, that was beautiful call by Napier. That was the mind games at its finest. He knows that we're going to have to go on a money drive to end the game, and he just plucks one of our timeouts away from us by putting his O-line into the boundary.
Yep. And then
like
kicks
that was
the extra
beautiful.
point.
That was beautiful. And then just, kicks the extra point.
So give him credit there. And Heupel, I mean, what is going on, man? Do we have a Nico problem?
Oh, yeah,
right?
we do.
Do we have a Heupel problem this year?
I think a little bit, but I think his maybe not weaknesses, but the worst of Heupel is coming out when he doesn't know what to do with a freshman quarterback. Joe Milton was not the best quarterback in the world, but he was not a freshman. He's been in games before, and he, I guess, knows how to bounce back from mistakes. Nico clearly does not.
No.
The mental game.
Not yet.
We thought, not yet, of course. We thought Joe Milton had a bad mental game. And I actually think that it wasn't as bad as we thought now that we're seeing Nico. I mean, literally after that first fumble, just nothing. Nico just is not a factor in the game whatsoever.
Yeah. So we get the ball back after their extra point. It's 17-all. We got a good amount of time to get down the field and make something happen.
We had about 30 seconds.
And a field goal wins the game.
Yep. So
we have 2 timeouts. Okay, we try to get it downfield. We get a first down out of bounds. That's pretty good. And then what happens? We incompletion or a penalty, I'm sure.
Nico actually fumbles on the first play of the game. We recover it.
Oh, yeah. That made the clock continue to tick.
Yep.
Costing us a few seconds. Heupel didn't even realize what happened, and then he calls a timeout late.
About 5 seconds just gone because we fumble, as Shea said, and then we call a timeout. At this point, I have no hope at all.
And then
we're going to convert in this drive.
And then instead of trying to win the game on a Hail Mary, let's just run it. Let's just go into overtime.
I will say Squirrel had a beautiful catch to follow that up.
Yeah.
So that raised our spirits a little bit.
Well, we didn't do anything with that.
No, you're right. 2 incompletions to Chaz Nimrod, which I'm not going to lie, get Mike Matthews in the game.
Well, Nimrod he can get open, I guess, and he can catch it when he's open, but if you're trying to throw it to him when he's contested, he's not going to come down with it.
I'd rather just throw 2 or 3 even, just shots to Brazel to try to set us up because we know, or Thornton even, or Brew. I mean, I don't know.
We have the guys to get downfield.
Yeah. Just one-on-one, take a shot on a 20-yard chunk play, and Nico's trying to be surgical, which he just can't be at this point in time.
Yeah.
So I think the effort someone's down their strategy is probably better than what he was trying. It is better than what he was trying to do.
Heupel seems like he'd rather die than call something like that.
Yeah.
All right, and so boom, now we're in overtime, and defense again. I mean, they were fantastic. They looked extremely dominant on Florida's first possession and only possession in overtime. And the offense came out there, and Sampson just got the job done.
Yeah.
That's basically what it comes down to. It. I don't know why. I knew we were going to win once we got into overtime. I think it's something you said.
Better than me.
No, you said, Napier, you might as well go for 2.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you don't get it, you're going to lose. And if you go into overtime, you're going to lose. And you were completely right.
To be fair to Lagway, he had, the best play. We've seen 3 games in a row where the backup comes in. That's the other thing. We've been playing against backups all year.
I didn't even think about that.
It's terrible, but the backup comes in, and the first 2 or 3 drives, they look rattled. That they're actually starting. Lagway played earlier, but the first drive that Lagway was a real starter, he threw the second worst pick actually of the game.
Yeah.
But he settled in. That's the theme I'm trying to get to is the quarterbacks kind of settle in. But if you're Napier, I don't think you want to play more football than you have to in Neyland. I guess I think if he actually had scored on that first possession, then he might have gone for 2, because you shouldn't have confidence as an opposing coach in Nico to get the job done.
Right.
So, our defense won us this game. The whole game, and specifically in overtime, and we played above and beyond. We pushed them kind of out of field goal range, and Smack just bricks the kick.
The defense got us 3 points. I mean, it felt like they got us all the points besides whatever Sampson was able to do. As a Tennessee fan, this game was so hard to watch. It was kind of like exactly what we were expecting, but we had us, some hope in us that it would be a blowout.
When I made my prediction last episode, I might have said it on the air, or I know I told other family and friends this. I had no confidence that was going to be the actual score, my prediction. I just threw the sloppiest thing out there that I could, and I'm disappointed that I was right.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
But to get into some key takeaways, I guess, as we said, we have a Nico problem. And I think that that Sampson and our defense are good enough to win against Kentucky, Mississippi State, and UTEP. But we have no chance against Bama and Georgia if Nico or someone doesn't give us more juice. And to be honest, if we play like we've played the last 3 games, we're going to lose to Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
Pavia
is...
He's just too magic. I mean, our defense is good. I think I need to kind of settle in about where our defense is. They're not as good, I don't think, as top 5 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
But I was disappointed in them against Arkansas because we let a mistake-prone team do what they wanted to do. And it's a dominant and disruptive defense. You can't let that happen. But I think they're maybe in the top 15, top 10 range.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So the most disappointing thing to me as a Tennessee fan, and I hate to say this after a win, but that's just how the last 3 games have been. We're going to keep saying, or maybe not, but we're going to keep saying we played well enough to win and we squeaked out with the win, that can only take you so many games, and it'll bite you in the ass. Like, next week we have Bama. We'll get into that in a future episode. But, the first 3 games, 63.6 points per game.
Against middle school teams, though.
Yeah, I mean, but still, like I said this before, you can't blame us for playing middle school teams. And we could have put up 50 points per game and still won those games. So that's 13.6 points more. You get what I'm saying. Our offense was explosive in those games. Last 3 is 20.7. Now, granted, we played harder competition. Oklahoma's defense is really good, like really, really good. And Florida's and Arkansas's are average to below average. 20.7 is still bad, but the most damning thing is that the separation of those 3 games was a bye week.
Yeah.
How does that happen? How do you go from amazing to just absolute horrible after a bye week?
Yeah.
Maybe something happened with Nico in that bye week. Like, literally.
Him and Heupel got into an argument over something.
Or maybe they tried to install some stuff and Nico's head just got confused.
They're just not on the same page.
Mm-mm. And as I said, to have a chance against Bama and Georgia, Nico is going to have to play like at least
good.
Average. I mean, I don't know.
At least he's just at least okay.
Yeah.
Maybe something above a 17.6 QBR.
Yeah. But I do want to stay positive. Dylan Sampson has 15 touchdowns on the year. I mean, if Ashton Jeanty didn't exist, Dylan Sampson would be the standout leader for the Doak Award, I believe, is the best running back in the country. Unfortunately, he's existing at the same time as a historic season for Ashton Jeanty.
Yeah, that guy's he's breaking Barry Sanders' records. So
yeah. I mean, he's his line for rushing is 187. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But and another positive is this is the second game in a row where James Pierce has been a factor. And as I said earlier, this really looked like the disruptive first-round talent pick that we were hoping for. So, again, we just need to keep having him ramp up and ramp up. If Nico's not going to step up, and if Pierce is just a game breaker, then that will give us some extra chances to win as well. All right, so I'm a stats guy, of course. I want to just run through the stats real quick. Nico, 16 for 26, 169 yards, a pick, and a 17.5 QBR, which is terrible if you don't know. I'm pretty sure that's worse than the Arkansas game.
Yeah. The
Against
QBR
probably a slightly worse defense, too.
Yeah, the QBR is out of 100.
Yeah. Samson, 27 carries for 112 yards, 3 touchdowns. Another explosive game from him. A lot of carries, but I don't even think we care about that yards per carry anymore because he's going to get 25 carries per game, and that's just how it's going to be.
His long was only 23, so 4.1 is pretty good.
Yeah. And, of course, 3 touchdowns. Yeah. He's going to break that 30-touchdown record.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Of course. I mean, 15 touchdowns already, and he's our only source of offense.
Yeah.
Okay. Squirrel actually had a decent game, even considering how bad Nico was. 5 catches for 71 yards and that beautiful toe tap in the fourth quarter to give us a little hope. And then finally, as I said, James Pierce, a fumble forced and recovered. Huge moment for the game. 7 total tackles, half a sack and a TFL.
All right, so now let's go over our MVPs. Mine was the Tennessee's defense. This is not the first time they've been my MVP, but I think that's an easy pick. They kept us in this game, like we said, and they had takeaways, and they gave us points. And that's all we can ask for.
I'm along the same lines. I mean, there's really no one else you can pick other than specifically James Pierce, the defense, or Sampson. So it's just the collective for me. But my LVP is Nico Iamaleava. I mean, come on now. It's just we're praying for that breakout game if we want to compete for the playoffs. But if he doesn't break out, then we don't have any chance for the playoffs.
Yeah. All right, now let's look at our predictions that we made last episode. So, as you can see here, I had predicted 28-24. Jace had predicted 20-10. If we are looking at the PCS, and if you don't know, the PCS is a way for you and your friends to simply predict the final score, just like Jace and I have, and then you compare it. I'm comparing my score with Jace's score. It's simple, it's easy, and it's very fun. So if you would like to join, see how well you can predict, go to thepcsonline.com, create an account, join a league, play with your friends. It's a good time.
You can also compete against some media personalities. We put in On3, CBS Sports, Sports Illustrated, and USA Today in our prediction pool. and we did better than pretty much all of them.
Yeah, so a perfect score is 0 points. You're trying to get as close to 0 as possible. So Jace beat me this week with his 20-10. He actually got 51 points, and my 28-24 accumulated 57 points. You just barely beat me. Now, if we're looking at the experts, so on threes, JD Pickle, the guy on YouTube, you've probably seen him, he predicted 34-21, which gave him 85 points. That's a B+. Not bad. So CBS Sports McKenzie, she predicted 40-21, which came out to 127, and that is a B. Still, not bad. Sports Illustrated predicted 31-20, came out to 62 points and an A- score. Pretty good. And USA Today is the only expert that beat us. They predicted 28-14, gave them 47 points and a grade of A.
Yep. Yeah, the first three media sites, media outlets, they need to get it in their head that we're just not going to put up points.
Yeah. These were high scores.
Yeah, except for UTEP. I'm going to predict you can't go above 30, I don't think. Listen, I'll eat my words if Nico has a blow-up game against Alabama or something. Alabama's defense is their secondary kind of stinky. But I will eat my words if Nico has a blow-up game and we put up a bunch of points. But until then, like you've seen the last three games, 20.7 points per game in the last three. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's actually the one. Like, I mean, we won, so we should be happy that we won the game. We're still in playoff contention. But hey, we had a good prediction week, so you'll take that.
Yeah, had a good prediction week.
So to wrap up, let's look ahead. These two teams' upcoming schedules. Florida has Kentucky at home, so that should be a win. And then 4 straight ranked games. Florida kind of needed this one to stay in bowl contention. They have 2 gimme wins. Florida State, I think they'll beat Florida State. And then Kentucky, they'll probably win that game. So that puts them at 5 wins. So they need to pull one more upset. I think they could probably do it. 2 of those ranked games are at home. The Swamp's a hard place to play at. But we'll see.
And for Tennessee, of course, we have Alabama next week. And we will be giving our Alabama preview soon. But after this game, I don't think my mind's changed. I think we probably have just as good of a chance as we did before this game.
Maybe a little bit less because this is our first home game in a while, and we put up a stinker offensively again.
But so did Bama. I mean, they almost lost to South Carolina.
Yeah, this is
home.
This is the weirdest upcoming feelings, I guess, for a Bama-Tennessee game I've ever felt. Because the last time we played Bama at home, we beat them in the most exciting game I've ever seen in my life. And this year, both of the teams are going into this game so low. Bama lost to Vanderbilt, almost lost to South Carolina. Yeah, it's a lot of weird stuff going on in the college football world this year.
Yeah. So moving forward, just to be transparent with you guys, Jason and I are going to be doing individual videos for individual topics instead of long podcast form videos.
So yeah, every week we're going to review the previous game. In the middle of the week, we're going to have our SEC episode where we do rankings and just kind of look around the SEC Showdown and Shuffle. And then toward the end of the week, before game days, we're going to do our preview. So look forward to the Alabama preview at the end of the week.
Yeah, please stay tuned. Again, if you enjoyed this content, please subscribe and like the video. It helps us a lot. And thank you so much for listening. This has been Shea and Jace. This is the PCS Volcast.
Go Vols!
Go Vols!